Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good day at the conference so far. Coming to you from the UK and Belfast here. So today in our masterclass, we're going to be going through continuous packaging. Hopefully, there's a few who were at my colleague Dan's continuous packaging keynote earlier on. We're going to cover some of the same concepts in this, and then dive into how you can add continuous packaging into your CI and CD pipeline. So we're going through how you can build a package in your CI pipeline, upload that package into Cloudsmith's Smart CDN for package delivery. We'll then go into some of the value that Cloudsmith adds to this, such as access controls and vulnerability scanning, and then using these to gate our promotion, and then finally deploy an artifact into production. If you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. My colleague Dan is here. He'll either answer them there or we'll have some Q&A at the end as well. And we also have a booth, which you can come and chat to us afterwards as well. So a little bit about me. My name's Andrew Speed. I'm a senior engineer at Cloudsmith, as already discussed. Been with Cloudsmith for about a year, mostly back-end engineering and also helping out with customer support issues. So if you come in with a customer support request, chances are you'll chat to me, one of the other engineers, or my colleague Dan, possibly as well. During my time here so far, I've added support for CocoaPods, which, if you're not familiar, is the package manager for Objective-C and Swift packages. I've added support for the Terraform private module registry. So if you write any Terraform modules for your internal company's use and don't want to put them on the public Terraform registry, you can come to Cloudsmith and upload them and store them there. And also added support for native cargo crate uploads via cargo, so Rust crate uploads via cargo, I should say, using cargo push. And a little bit about Cloudsmith. We're a fully managed package management as a service, and we're enabling your team to set up a quick, private, and secure pipeline for delivering your packages. I believe we have a YouTube video where my colleague Dan sets up an organization and repository in under 60 seconds, I believe. So we want you to be able to get in and get set up as quickly as possible. We aim to provide a single source of truth for all your packages, whether that's packages you're building and distributing to your customers, or the dependencies you're using to build them. And we also want to isolate and protect your teams and customers from supply chain attacks and enable you to distribute your packages easily. To achieve this, we have over 225 points of presence. We support over 23 different package formats, which we'll cover a little bit later on in the diagram, you'll see. And as I mentioned before, we have 24/7 support from our engineers as well. At the bottom there, you can see some of the companies who already rely on us for distribution. You can see some more testimonials from them on our website at cloudsmith.com. So we'll briefly touch on some of the continuous packaging benefits, namely Provenance, allowing you to see the full chain of trust from when your package gets pulled into Cloudsmith, whether it's from an upstream or uploaded by your CI process, right through to delivery to your customers. The next step will be isolation, which allows you to see the gain control and visibility into your packages and your whole pipeline. And then package delivery, which allows us to quickly distribute your packages to your end users, whether that's your internal development teams or end users as well, customers. So Provenance, first of all, as I said before, this gives you a centralized source of truth for your delivery pipeline. And we also offer things like signature verification. So whenever your package gets uploaded, we verify with checksums and signatures, such as, for example, Docker, for example, we verify digest whenever your image gets uploaded. And then we offer the same functionality to your end users as well. So you can offer checksums and signatures whenever your customers pull down packages to verify from end to end that they are what you uploaded in the first place. And then also vulnerability scanning is a big one for Docker containers. So when you upload a container, your image will be scanned and you can gain some insight into some of the vulnerabilities that may be present in your container before you ship that to your end users. And we'll see that later on in our demo of how you can use that to then gate your promotion and releases. Isolation is the next thing we're going to look at in continuous packaging. So isolating yourself from public upstreams is really important. My colleague Dan covered this in his keynote in greater detail. But the Cliff's notes to this is that you can isolate yourself from a multitude of different problems that you could run into with your pipeline. The simplest of these could be as basic as a package that you rely on being pulled from public registry, such as, say, LeftPad, for example, or even something like the public registry going down. If it becomes unavailable, you still want to be able to build and deploy your packages to your customers. Another possibility is the emergence of vulnerabilities in an upstream package. If this happens, keeping a local cache in something like Cloudsmith will allow you to isolate yourself from that vulnerability until you can either move away from that package or the vulnerability is addressed and in a new version gets released, which you can then pull in later on. License changes are another big one. If an upstream package that you rely on changes license from something very permissive like MIT, for example, to something that you aren't willing to support, maybe something like a GPL or a GPL license, you can stay on the older version of the package with that license that you're happy to distribute. And then, as I said in Dan's talk, we covered some of the vulnerability information that came out, or some of the security disclosures, I should say, that came out recently around namespace shadowing. Cloudsmith offers a way to isolate yourself from attacks like this by using 2 different repositories. In the first repository, you would have all your development dependencies that you're currently relying on, which would not be connected in upstream at all. And a separate repository, which would be connected to the upstream, that you periodically refresh your dependencies against to pull in new versions and in this quarantined repository. Once you have the quarantine packages, you can then go through and review the changes and check for any vulnerabilities or anything else that you might want to mitigate against before migrating them across into your development repository. Package delivery is then the final point of continuous packaging. It's no good if you can upload packages to a service and then you can't get them to your users. The way we aim to simplify this is by using native technologies and supporting package manager, all the package managers you might use for your tooling, such as Maven or Pip or Ruby, for example, or other tools like Debian's, for example, Debian packages through apt, or maybe RPM packages through yum. Once your packages are uploaded, distributing them to your customers quickly is another important aspect. We do this by dynamically generating indexes. So once a new version of your package gets uploaded, we regenerate the index and your customers can get access to that package quickly. And all this is achieved through our smart CDN, which we call a package delivery network, or PDN, which is built specifically for distributing your software to customers at the edge, wherever they are, whether that's in Australia, Asia, West Coast of the United States, or in Europe. We can distribute the packages quickly to any of them. So what does this look like in practice? This is what we're here to cover today, right? So integrating continuous packaging into your CI and CD pipeline is pretty frictionless. The way this works is that on the left-hand side there, you can see we've got the your CI build process. Your developers will merge code in your main branch. It will be built and tested by your CI server, which will then upload that into Cloudsmith. Once it's uploaded, your package will then be processed, scanned. As I mentioned before, the checksums and signatures will get verified. And then for Docker containers in particular, we'll then perform an additional layer of security vulnerability scanning. At this point, we can then determine whether to reject insecure packages or go ahead and promote secure packages out through our package delivery network to your end users. And the idea of this is that we want to simplify package distribution for you as much as possible, so you can focus on delivering more features and benefits to your end users and not have to worry about how you get it to them. So continuous packaging needs to be incredibly flexible because all of our CI and CD pipelines are incredibly different. Whether that's using a software as a service CI like Circle CI or GitHub Actions, or an on-premise instance like Jenkins, for example, Cloudsmith supports them all. Additionally, supporting package formats is incredibly important. It's no good if your package service doesn't support the package formats that you're actually developing in. So we support lots of mainstream languages such as Maven, PHP, JavaScript, NuGet for C# packages, as well as your tools like Terraform modules, Docker containers, Vagrant images, and even things like raw package uploads if you want to upload, say, some user documentation as PDFs and distribute it through us as well. And then obviously deployment is a huge thing as well. So we also integrate directly with tools like Puppet, Terraform, and Ansible. So continuous packaging, as I said, needs to be incredibly flexible. And we've got docs on all these integrations on our website, which I'll leave you a link to at the end of the presentation. So in our demo today, we're going to go over building a Docker image, uploading it into Cloudsmith. We'll then scan that image for security vulnerabilities. From there, we'll use the information to determine whether to release that to production or not. And if we do go ahead with release to production, we can then deploy that through using Terraform to a service like AWS, for example. So the 3 steps we're going to look at are automating uploads from CI to Cloudsmith, automating secure image promotion, and automating deployment of our package. At Cloudsmith, we're big fans of automation and believe that it should be incredibly easy for our customers to get set up and integrate with us, which we'll see a little bit of. So automating CI uploads. So this is a Circle CI example. We're using some YAML config here. Cloudsmith has a Circle CI orb already built, so it automates away a lot of the boilerplate for you, so you don't need to worry about a whole lot of that. And we're importing that on the left-hand side there in the image. And then on the right-hand side, we're doing some setup. So we are defining the Cloudsmith as Cloudsmith as the Docker registry host, as you can see there at docker.cloudsmith.io. We're defining the registry repository we're going to be pushing to. So that's the organization and the repository specifically. So we've got a developer week organization and a releases repository, which is what we'll be pushing our release image to. We're then pulling in a base image from Cloudsmith to build on top of, doing some Docker setup using the Docker command line tooling, using the Docker login, and then we're building our image, tagging it, and pushing it to Cloudsmith. Again, all using the native Docker CLI tooling. So all the same tooling you would use with, say, Docker Hub or on-premise Docker Registry also works with Cloudsmith. And this is an example of what that looks like. So yeah, completely normal build, tag, push, as we're all used to seeing if you use Docker already. We also support integrations with BuildKite, GitHub Actions, GitLab CI/CD, and many more. So that was automating our upload from CI into Cloudsmith. The next step here is automating secure image promotion. So we're going to look at a few different stages of this. We'll look at access controls in Cloudsmith using entitlement tokens. We'll then look at the additional insight that vulnerability scanning gives us in their container. And then we'll tie these two things together to promote a secure image. And then finally look at some notifications you could send to your team as well, based on whether the build succeeds or fails. So entitlement tokens are our method of access controls in Cloudsmith. And whenever you create a repository, a default token, as you can see at the top there, gets created. And every user inside your organization also has a token associated with them. We can also dynamically create entitlement tokens via API calls. So you can set up tokens for each of your customers. So let's say if you're licensing out software, you want to create a different token for each one of those licenses that you give out. Cloudsmith supports that both through our UI, CLI, and then also the API. Our entitlement tokens are incredibly powerful, as we've found that a lot of customers have a lot of different ways to distribute their software. So at the top there, you can see we've got some metrics associated with entitlement tokens. We've got the number of downloads associated with that token, the number of clients you've downloaded using that token, and all the bandwidth used by that token over both a period of time on the left-hand metric there, and then also the total usage over the lifetime of the token. You can reset these metrics on a periodic basis based on whatever works for your workflow, whether that's weekly, monthly, yearly, or never. You don't have to reset the metrics either. We can also restrict an entitlement token to certain package formats. So we can restrict tokens, package formats, package names, versions. When it comes to certain other package formats, you can also restrict based on architecture and the distribution of the operating system that's for. And also Cloudsmith supports dynamic tags to be attached to packages. So if you were distributing, say, a pro and a basic version of your software, you could restrict tokens based on that tag value as well. Usage limits are the next thing. So again, coming back to the licensing model, if you were creating a yearly license entitlement token for a customer, you can have it last for exactly 1 year. And whenever they come up to renewal, if they renew the license, you can then extend it via our API, as I said previously. And then also bandwidth controls. These enable you to allocate bandwidth evenly between your users to ensure that no one's using more than their fair share of your bandwidth usage. So we're just going to create a basic-ish example here. For our deployment. We're going to restrict this token to the Docker format and the latest tag. The latest tag is going to be the tag that we use to promote into our production environment. What this means is that if there's ever a config bug pushed, so let's say you reference a different tag or a digest instead of the latest tag, this will mean that whenever you try and use this entitlement token to pull down the image, it will fail because it just can't see those images. And this will ensure that you never deploy the images that you've promoted through your production environment. Security vulnerability scanning then is the next piece of the puzzle. So as you can see at the top there, we've got a breakdown of how many vulnerabilities were found and what the most severe vulnerabilities were what severity level. We also get a breakdown of each vulnerability, the CVE associated with it, a short description so to give you some idea of what the vulnerability is about, whether it applies to your application, and give you some idea of how you might want to maybe mitigate this if you're not going to go immediately address the issue. And then also some information at the bottom about what version of the dependency you need to upgrade to in order to address the vulnerability. This is also available through our API. So you can get all the same information, which we're going to be using in the next slide to then gate our promotions. So as you can see here, we're installing the JQ tool to parse the JSON we're getting back from the API. We're making the API call, parsing it for the number of vulnerabilities that are present. And then if there's any vulnerabilities present, we're deciding to abort the process down there. Again, this might not be applicable for you. You might want to maybe only abort the process if there's only, say, medium or high severity vulnerabilities that are present. Again, it's whatever needs to work for your CI and CD pipeline. If the process continues after this check, then we tag the image with the latest tag and then can push it up to our repository for distribution. And then finally, notifications. We all need to be aware of how our pipelines are operating and whether they're succeeding or failing. One way of doing this is Slack notifications that can go into a channel. So these are just two basic examples on how you can send notifications through to Slack for whether your build succeeds or fails and why it failed if it does. Examples could be to send metrics through to a monitoring platform that you use, or emailing the team that's responsible for the build that their build failed. So to tie that all together then, we're then going to be taking the image after promotion and then deploying it using Terraform and Puppet, just two different examples of doing the same thing, but using two different tools. So the first of these is Terraform. We're going to be using an ECS task definition here. Again, similar to as you would with, say, Docker registry like Docker Hub, for example, you can just reference the image URL there. And then as long as you have the correct credentials in Secrets Manager, as we're referencing there in line 12, it'll work seamlessly just as it would with any of the official tooling. And then Puppet as well, very similar, except, well, our credentials got stored in Hiera this time. But again, you just reference the URL for the Docker registry, pull down the image, and run it. Again, all the native tooling just works seamlessly. So we've covered how to automate your uploads, how to automate secure image promotion, and how to automate deployment of our package. So what can you do next? You can check out our docs at help.cloudsmith.io. You can start a free trial and see some of the benefits of continuous packaging for yourself. And then you can also ask questions you have now during a Q&A or come to our booth later on for a one-to-one. Feel free to stop by anytime today or tomorrow. The team's manning the booth both days. You can also come along and find out about how to win an Oculus Quest 2 for details there as well. So we're going to move on to some Q&A now. So we'll, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. So one of the common questions we get about Cloudsmith is how you can implement a system of least privilege for your CI and CD build pipeline. So entitlement tokens are a big part of that. As we saw, we can restrict it to certain package formats. Cloudsmith also has access controls for user-based controls in your organization as well. So we have the idea of organizations being composed of teams, and you can add people to different teams to give them more granular access. Let's see. Another popular one that people ask is how can you observe the audit trails for actions performed as well? So obviously you want to be able to see what actions your people in your organization are performing on your packages and repositories. There's a few different ways of doing that. We have webhooks, for example, which allows you to get notifications whenever package tags are changed, for example. And then we also have, pardon me, we also have logs for downloads that occur on packages that come from your repository. And then also we do log changes that can happen on your packages as well. We also have some work coming up, I believe, with activity stream as well, where we're going to be getting some more insight for organizations into what's going on with their repositories and packages. Another popular one we get is why you'd want to rely on a software as a service model rather than running an on-prem instance for yourself, like a Jenkins server for CI, and then storing your, say, Docker images in on-premise instance for a Docker container registry. One of the main benefits that a lot of our customers are really fond of is just being able to offload all the DevOps work for maintaining all of that and distribution onto another team. For example, you don't have to worry about doing maintenance at the weekends to be able to distribute packages to your customers. We actually had some maintenance at the weekend there, and none of our customers had to worry about scheduling that or scheduling employees to come in and deal with that because we do it for them. You can go to status.cloudsmith.io as well if you want to check out our uptime, which is pretty decent. Is there a best practice way to structure Cloudsmith repositories? I mean, really, we've built the whole service to be flexible enough to work for whatever you need it to be able to do. Some customers will upload packages in all kinds of different formats into the one repository, for example. Others may split it by package format. A lot of customers, what we've seen recently is that they're splitting up their organization into a releases repository and then a staging repository. So what will happen is that they will build their software, upload it into their staging repository, and then they can do some additional testing on it maybe before they go ahead and then promote that into their releases repository for their customers to access. So there's a few different ways to tackle this. Again, it's whatever works best for you. What integrations are there? Great question. So we've got a whole host of integrations, and that goes for our CI technologies like GitHub Actions and Circle CI, which we both have integrations for. So we have a GitHub Action that's available in the marketplace. Circle CI, we've got Nord for that. We've got documentation on our website at help.cloudsmith.io about some more integrations there. Trying to remember some off the top of my head here. I believe we've got documentation for integrating with Jenkins as well. Not to mention some of the other deployment tools that I mentioned, like Terraform, Puppet, Chef, Ansible. BuildKite is another CI tool we support as well. Just name a few off the top of my head there. Let's see. Yeah, another one we get pretty commonly is, why is Cloudsmith any better than, say, our competitors like maybe Artifactory or GitHub Packages? To compare it with GitHub Packages, we support a lot more formats for one. I believe GitHub Packages, last time I checked anyway, was limited to 4 package formats, I believe, maybe 5. As you can see, we have a wider range of package formats that are supported, as well as other tools that I think GitHub are probably unlikely to support in terms of things like vagrant images. And when it comes to Artifactory, if you're running an on-premise instance, we sort of already covered that. You don't have to maintain an on-premise instance yourself. Have a dedicated team to maintain that, organized downtime, as well as having to figure out all the bandwidth and other infrastructure needs for distributing to your customers. Another big point that our customers are always a fan of is our 24/7 support from engineers. We've had a lot of customers who are always really satisfied when they have interactions with us, because we get back to them within usually a matter of minutes, with an initial response at least, to say that we've seen your issue and we're looking at it. And then we'll usually get fixes shipped for problems within a matter of hours, maybe days at the worst. So we're very responsive to customer issues. Any specific use cases where you're offering relation lines? That's a tricky question. I mean, I think the thing that I'm trying to reiterate here is that we've built this for distribution to your customers. For one, distribution is a huge one. We've built all this tooling around access controls, download logs, webhooks to give you just to seamlessly fit into your pipeline, so we can easily distribute this for you, and you don't need to worry about any of the headaches that are associated with that. Package delivery network is probably a big part as well. So being able to distribute packages to your customers wherever they are in the world without them really experiencing any different latency than you experience. With bin tray shutting down, can I use this instead? Yep. We've had several customers come to us migrate from bin tray to Cloudsmith. They've all had a pretty seamless experience. I think the worst thing people have experienced is getting packages out of bin tray, not into Cloudsmith. Can you use the API or CLI to get package usage statistics? Yeah, we support that through both our API and CLI. So again, it's whatever works best for you, whether it's consuming API results directly or using our CLI to sort of give you a single interface to upload both upload packages and then also access the metrics and features associated with them. Got like 2 minutes left here, so if you have any questions, get them in now or come to speak to us or both afterwards. Looks like that might be it then. Thanks very much for attending the session, everyone. Some great questions coming in there. If you have any others, please feel free to call by the booth. And let's see, as I said in the previous slide there, if you have any questions, come to the booth, ask questions there. You can get a one-to-one demo. You can also enter our competition to win a Oculus Quest 2. I believe you have to sign up using a specific link that we give you, and then create an organization and upload a single package. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for your time. I'm going to drop off here. So, come see us in our booth if you have any questions or want to hear more details about Cloudsmith or how to win an Oculus Quest 2. Thanks for your time.